From the director of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, we get The Creator, a movie about humans and AI fighting for supremacy. Sort of, but we'll get to that in a little bit. When I did my video yesterday about will any upcoming movies be good, I mentioned that the trailer for this movie looked pretty awful. Like, the special effects and the cinematography and everything looked pretty good, but the story looked incredibly stupid. It looked like just a ton of other generic sci-fi movies I've seen before. Hell, it kind of reminded me of Colonials just a little bit. Trust me, this isn't as bad as Colonials. That was awful. I don't think anybody who watched my review of that movie even heard of that movie until that point, but whatever. I'm not here to talk about that. I've talked about that movie enough. I don't want to ever think about that movie again. So, Gareth Edwards is an incredibly talented director, and I know people lump Rogue One in as Disney Star Wars because it was a Disney Star Wars product. But ones like Rogue One and Solo, I feel bad lumping in with Disney Star Wars because they're movies that got actual effort. Same thing with Star Wars Rebels. Technically, that was the first thing to be produced by Disney Star Wars, and it's still really good. But unfortunately, they all came after the Disney purchase of Star Wars, so they all got lumped in with the sequel trilogy, and now ones like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Book of Boba Fett, and Mandalorian, all these other crappy shows and movies that taint the reputation of the franchise as a whole, so they inevitably get lumped in with it. And I feel pretty bad because Rogue One was a really good movie. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It's far from my favorite Star Wars movie. Hell, it's not even my favorite Star Wars movie to come out of Disney. I think Solo was better. But nevertheless, it was a still well-made movie for the most part. It had some issues, like, I still don't like, they had the traditional Disney, fan service moments that don't make any sense. I still don't understand why they felt the need to shove the two dudes from the cantina scene from episode 4 into a cameo. I don't understand why that was made, but overall, it was still a pretty decent movie. I haven't watched it that much, but it's a pretty decent film. So, him doing another big sci-fi movie like this seems like a really good idea. And I will say this, the visuals look super good. And I have said once, I don't think I said it in a video, but I have said before that it seems like lower budget movies seem to look better than these $200 to $300 million movies. Now, this movie had a budget of roughly $80 million, so that's not exactly cheap per se. Well, I guess in today's age of cinema, I guess that could be considered pretty cheap. But comparing something like this to The Flash, which had about $300 million soaked into it, it looks phenomenal. The effects look really good. The cinematography's pretty good. Who did the cinematography? Greg Fraser and Oren Soffer. Okay, I don't know who those are, but they did a really good job with the cinematography. So I have no problems with the technicalities for this movie. What I have many problems with, however, is the script. And I figured out why that is roughly 20 minutes into the movie. And it only grew as the movie went on. Because I'd seen the trailer. The trailer pretty much gave away the entire goddamn plot. Like, I figured out what was going on in the entire movie, just like, okay, I remember this from the trailer, okay, so I know what's happening next, and that's pretty much what ended up happening. And I remember everybody saying, finally, an original sci-fi movie, we're finally getting original sci-fi. This movie is a big fucking ripoff of a movie I absolutely hate. And that movie is Avatar. No, seriously, I figured out that this is pretty much a beat-for-beat remake of fucking Avatar, and I am not happy about that. Think about it, so he's basically Sam Worthington's character. He goes behind enemy lines replacing the... What were the aliens called in that movie? Who cares? It'll come to me later. but the AI is the blue aliens from Avatar. He has to go behind the lines to essentially, in the Avatar, it was the stupid Tree of Life, the Na'vi, that's what it is, the Na'vi, that's what they're called. Oops, it hit my laptop. But he essentially has to go to the Tree of Life, and here it's Alpha O, which ends up being the little kid from the trailer. And I lost my train of thought, and he learns that he actually likes this side. This side is a lot better compared to the corrupt humans, and he joins them in the fight against the corrupt humans by the end of the movie. It's the same fucking plot as Avatar, just slightly tweaked, and again, I figured that out by the 20-minute mark. And again, the story, I would forgive it for having similarities to other movies. If it was having similarities to a movie I liked, but it doesn't. I would forgive it if anything in this movie was interesting. And again, the visuals are pretty interesting, but they have some really stupid moments with the action. Like, the action sequences, they're not terrible, but they could have used a lot of work. Like, there's some stupid moments, like, about 45 minutes in, I'm gonna guess. I don't really know how long it was, but there was a point where he and the kid are like, they're hiding in a truck being shot at by some, like, robots that look a lot like L3 from Solo. They look very similar. They're shooting at them, and then one of them throws essentially a grenade, and it lands, and it has a 10-second timer. This is advanced technology, and it has a 10-second timer on a goddamn grenade. How long does it take for a standard military grenade to explode? Like 3 seconds, right? I think it's a timer of 3 seconds after you pull the pin. It's something like 3 to 5 seconds, something like that. This thing not only has a 10-second timer, but actually has the timer on the bomb, so they know exactly how much time they have to get it away. And it's made even worse by the thing is picked up by a dog, and it's walked over and just drops it right back where the robots are. No. Just straight up no. And again, there's some cool bits with the action, but there are other points where it just dropped into B-movie territory, where it's just so over-the-top stupid that I can't take it seriously. And again, I kind of figured out what was happening through the first 20 minutes of the movie, because his wife, I guess, is a part of these. And something weird with the opening with his wife is that, her name is Maya, and the main character's name is Joshua Taylor. I should have mentioned that. I just kept calling him the main character, even though I know his name. Taylor and Maya, they basically need to get the hell out of Dodge by the beginning because he's undercover there, but she doesn't know that. And basically the squad with Nomad, it's kind of hard to explain exactly what they're, the humans, I guess. I'm just put it that way. They show up and basically bomb the place, literally. They drop a fucking nuke in the middle of the place. How he survives this, even though apparently his wife, he thought his wife died, even though she was like 20 feet from him when the bomb went off, and he was totally fine. He has a couple of artificial limbs, but he had that before the bomb went off, so I'm not sure how that works, but whatever. And what was my point? Oh yeah. Basically, they need to get the hell out, and she decides she'd rather stay with a bunch of robots saying, oh no, this is my, like, okay, so, I know I'm having trouble talking about this, but because everything I say leads to something else that needs to be focused on first. And this movie pulls the same thing that Disney's been pulling with Star Wars, ironically. It's where they're trying to make it so that the robots have emotions. And Taylor even says straight up in this movie, very early on, that they do not have emotions. They don't feel. They are machines. And that is 100% true. I don't know why Disney feels the need to keep putting emotion, because if we were to a point where AI had emotions and feelings, we'd be fucked. Straight up. And maybe that's what they were going for, but it's not handled very well. It doesn't make a ton of sense. And much like what I said with the Avatar thing, this is apparently we're supposed to feel bad for the lifeless machines instead of the human race. Because the big twist in this movie that comes, I don't know, hour and a half maybe. This movie's over 2 hours long. It's a little too long. I think this could have been trimmed down a little bit. But later on in the movie, it's revealed that the big nuking of Los Angeles in 2055 that basically started this war, because the backstory is essentially them creating AI for several purposes, including military purposes, and then the AI dropped a nuke on Los Angeles, essentially kickstarting this war between humans and artificial intelligence. And it's established later on in the movie that it was caused by a human coding error. Because of fucking course it was, because we have to do the big who's the monster story in this that I'm fucking sick of. Can we ever just get a movie where... Can we ever just get, like, make this a Star Wars? Like, you have your rebels, you have your empire, you don't need to shove in some moral gray area where the good guys are actually the bad guys, and the bad guys are just looking for survival. Fuck's sake, I'm getting flashbacks to the Sea Beast that I saw last summer, and again, I didn't like that movie, or not last summer, 2022 summer. That didn't come out this year, it came out last year, that's what I meant. So all of this started because humans are incompetent. I mean, they're right, obviously, but that's the entire plot of this movie is essentially human incompetence led to their own downfall. And again, there's some interesting commentary you can have here, like the dangers of AI. AI is becoming increasingly more dangerous to human society. It is not a good thing that the advancements of artificial intelligence is not a good thing that these tech idiots can't figure out. It's not a good thing. And there's a lot of commentary you can do with that with this movie, but they chuck it out the window for the sake of a lame plot twist that I've seen 1,000 times and am getting really sick of. Again, can we just get more streamlined movies that doesn't require a lot of, ooh, look at this social commentary, look at this political commentary, look at our movie, look how important we are. And I'm sure there was a lot of effort and passion that went into this movie, but it almost feels like there's a lot of... I just lost the word. It feels pretentious. That's the word I'm looking for. It probably wasn't made that way. I'm sure Gareth Edwards put his heart and soul into this movie, but it comes off as pretentious and annoying, and I just couldn't have given less of a shit about any character in this movie, from the heroes or the villains. I didn't give a shit. I was checked out by the hour mark, and just like I figured with the trailer, it was just more sci-fi bullshit that I didn't give a shit about. I'm giving the creator a D for good visual effects, some decent acting, and a pretty good score by Hans Zimmer. I should mention that. So, yeah, that's all I got for the creator, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.